Tipp today in association with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Good morning, welcome along to Tipp Today, 1800 938 007. That's our free phone number. It won't cost you if you'd like to make a call to us. And Leanne is producing today. Coming up on the show this morning, patients could now face a €50 fee on drugs in blister packs. We'll be speaking to pharmacist Jimmy O'Sullivan from Feather in just a while. Australia has banned all social media for under 16s. Would this work in Ireland? We'll tease that out. Finding the perfect gift for your children's teachers, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments' time. Health insurance expert Dermot Good will be with us. Ali has the conspiracy files, so all of that and more on the way. We have a €50 voucher from our good friends at Mr. Menswear, located in Friar Street, Cashel and Abbey Street in Cairn. I'll tell you how you can win that in just a little while. You can text and WhatsApp 083 311 3311. You can email tiptoday@tipfm.com. Look at the front pages of some of your newspapers today. The Irish Independent and the lead story there. Authoritarian moves by the Trump administration to demand travellers hand over 5 years of social media history have been branded as a massive overreach that could threaten relations with the US. The Irish Daily Mail. Lead story on the Mail today, an average of €1.3 million worth of wind energy has been wasted every day since the start of 2025, politicians have been told. The Irish Times, and they're leading with the story that images taken by a European Union satellite last week, shortly before the sighting of the 5 rogue drones in Dublin Bay, show the nearby presence of a dark vessel which appeared to be trying to hide its location. And also on the Times today, the European Court of Human Rights is interpreting inhuman and degrading treatment too broadly, which is limiting the ability of member states to deport foreign criminals, the Minister for Justice, Jim O'Callaghan, has said. And also, and we discussed this in the programme yesterday, the number of people hospitalised with influenza has increased by almost 60% over the last 2 weeks as pressure on the health system continues to mount. Farmers Journal is on your shelves today, and it's easy to predict what the main story is there. Irish farmers were granted a 3-year extension to the nitrates derogation on Tuesday after EU member states unanimously backed Ireland's case, but I presume there's still concerns about the appropriate assessment process there, and of course the tightening of the nitrates rules from 2026 as well. Finally, I look at the front page of the Irish Examiner, and they're leading with the story that a member of the Fianna Fáil parliamentary party informed Deputy Leader Jack Chambers that Jim Gavin may have had an issue with a former tenant hours before he was chosen as the party's presidential election candidate. And several sources have told the Examiner that this revelation was made to the team overseeing a review of the party's disastrous presidential election with documentary evidence provided as well. Also on the Examiner today, we're reading that food and other essential goods could start disappearing from the shelves within 3 days if there were a serious attack or disruption at Dublin Port, and that's according to Irish company bosses. So that's a look at what's making headlines today. Would you like to comment on any of that? And if you would, once again, text to WhatsApp 083 311 3311. Now, it's that time of year again when parents rush to find the perfect gift for the teacher. It's often a hot topic in parents' WhatsApp groups. Should we do a group gift or buy individual presents? And some parents feel guilty because they mightn't be able to afford anything at all. But do teachers actually want these gifts? Well, Jen Hogan has been writing about this in the Irish Times this week, and she joins me now. Jen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran. How are you?
I'm well, and lovely to talk to you again, Jen. Thank you for coming on with us. The idea of gifting a teacher, it's kind of a relatively new phenomenon, Jen, isn't it?
Well, I maybe in the way that we're gifting them, it's new, but I think it actually has been going on for years. Just perhaps it wasn't something that everybody did, whereas now it's such common practice that people who don't feel or they're very conscious of it anyway. If they make a decision not to, for whatever reason, and there's all sorts of reasons. And it's usually absolutely nothing to do with the teacher and everything to do with people's finances. That's what it comes down to a lot of the time. But we have moved towards the situation that it's taken for granted that there will be a teacher's gift, not by the teachers, by the parents. It's completely parent-driven. Again, something else that needs to be noted. But it's just presumed there'll be one, and whether that's an individual gift that goes in or whether it's a class collection, that really just depends on the individual classes and schools, the approach that they take. But in talking to teachers and parents, there's an awful lot of people not very happy with the practice. And again, it's not because, it's no shade on the teachers, it's not because they're taking issue with the teachers, but because they feel they have to, they find it difficult to afford it. The teachers, like you just kind of referred to there, don't necessarily want all these gifts. If they're getting 20 mugs saying best teacher or 20 boxes of chocolates, it's not that they don't, the teachers I spoke to, it's not that they don't appreciate receiving the gift in the way in which it was intended. They just don't need it and they don't expect it. And it creates, I suppose, that difficulty because they're not looking for the gifts. The parents are under pressure, financial pressure and stress, feeling that they have to provide the gift. And we have this situation that just happens every year and nothing changes.
Yeah, mine are well grown up at this stage, so I'm not sort of fully across this. But interesting in your article that gifts are now given twice a year.
Well, that's another, the end of year gift as well, the kind of thank you gift, thank you for the year. So I suppose that again adds up, especially if it's a class collection, which it sometimes is, and if you have got multiple children and there's perhaps SNAs in the class, maybe some children have resource teachers too. And I suppose that's, if you're doing it twice a year and it's questionable about where does it end, do we go around the principals, the vice principals, perhaps the lollipop lady, the lollipop man, bus drivers for children that are maybe going to special schools, and it adds up, and the twice a year factor means it's a substantial cost at the end of it, and particularly if you have numerous children.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very expensive. With, as you say, all of the other expenses as well. How does it work if you buy a group gift? How does that actually work, Jen?
Well, usually a mammy in the class, and it's usually a mam who'll organise it as opposed to a dad. Sure. The dads are they're very clever. They manage to mute the WhatsApp groups and leave it all to the mams. But usually a mam will put out a message going, I'll do the collection this year, and either an amount is agreed, which can vary from €5 to €20, judging on what parents told me, that, per class, that is. So that really depends, €5 to €20 per parent per class. So you've got maybe an amount either agreed or the message will go out, whatever you can afford. But as was also pointed out to me, whatever you can afford is still kind of difficult because a parent who is doing the collection will become aware of whatever that person can afford. And so people still feel a huge pressure and a huge obligation. 10 to 15 seems to be the kind of more typical amount. There are, like I said, it does go sometimes to a fiver, and other parents reported it being €20. One parent collects all that money and then goes and maybe buys something larger, like a voucher for a shopping centre or one of those vouchers that you can use in loads of different shops or different things like that. So that it's kind of that gift that's bought all together, but they will also take into account often if there's an SNA in the class as well, and sometimes they'll decide to donate some of the collection to maybe a principal or somebody else in the school. It would really depend on individual classes and individual schools, and they'll divide it out and they'll assign a portion to the teacher, the SNA, and anybody else that they're going to assign it to. It'll just be decided typically by the parent who has organised the collection. And I should say, most parents are incredibly grateful to the person who organises the collection because they expect to buy a gift, and nobody wants to have to take on the responsibility of collecting and going shopping. And
I can understand that as well. We're talking basically about primary schools here, though, aren't we? I mean, secondary schools don't really come into this.
It doesn't happen to the same degree in secondary schools, and again, it would really depend on the student and maybe the relationships with individual teachers. I spoke to some secondary school teachers who were totally against this practice because they said, well, where does it end? Like, where does it stop? Yeah. Because there are so many different teachers, and where do we stop? Do we stop at the tutor? Do we stop at the year head? Where does it actually stop? But I did speak to some parents and teachers who would either gift or would receive the odd gift. And sometimes for somebody just starting in secondary school, they presume the practice is to continue and get a little bit worried about, oh my God, how am I going to get around so many teachers? And before primary school as well, there's Montessori and as well, and creches. Sorry, just to do the other flip side, where there will typically be more than one teacher, and you'll have multiple presence needed or collections needed there too. But yeah, it's less of a thing in secondary school unless somebody maybe decides to gift a particular teacher because they want to say it. They want to say it as a thank you, but it's given maybe as a Christmas gift, or maybe they want to acknowledge their year head. And again, the individual setups in different schools will largely determine that. In saying that, while teachers said it doesn't happen as frequently, it still does happen to some degree, but it is much more a primary school thing.
Yeah, one of the contributors to your piece, Carol, who's a teacher as well as being a parent of 3 kids, and she's seen it from both sides, Jen, but she believes that teachers' present collections can be a popularity contest. That's kind of an interesting insight, isn't it?
It is, and it wasn't one I probably thought of before until I spoke with her. And she said it, like, she's witnessed it from both sides. It's that who's the most popular parent who gets, there's a status that can go with it too. Who's the most popular teacher? And I suppose, again, that could come back down to across the schools seeing who's getting what. Or maybe even in a secondary school setting where if not every teacher is getting a gift and only some are getting it. And she could have pointed to that challenge as well there. If only some people are getting it and others aren't, you end up with this kind of popularity contest too. But she also said even when it comes to deciding who's doing the collection, she referenced one class where there was a vote taken. Here's me saying, oh, sure, look, we're all so grateful to the man who decides that they're going to organise the collection. But there's a competition to do the collection in one of her classes. So she said, look, it's a popularity contest. We'll see who we elect to collect the money, which is a bizarre and unusual concept, but apparently there we go, which is real. Yeah,
one of our listeners, an interesting idea from a listener, Jen, saying, I wonder if the teachers asked all of the kids to give a couple of euro to a charity instead of the gifts. An interesting one, isn't it?
It is an interesting one. I suppose it doesn't necessarily remove the financial pressure from parents if they feel they have to do it. And, a lot of parents will be given to charities themselves. They're just trying to manage. Everyone's situation is so different and people don't tend to speak openly about what's going on. Christmas is such a worrying time for parents. There was a teacher who pointed to one child who came in with a gift, and it was a gift that he had just picked up at the supermarket, and it was a gift that was given for the sake of giving a gift because the child didn't want to come in with nothing, and she knew the parents couldn't afford it but didn't want their child to be the only child who didn't bring in something. So I think there's a danger perhaps with the charity that it's a wonderful idea in theory, but it comes back to affordability again. And if it's left open to parents to donate to charity if they like, great. But if it comes to a collection, you just worry that some parents would still feel that same pressure again. That it's just a different way that they're directing their money, but perhaps they just don't have it at that particular time of year to donate.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on for sure. When you and I last spoke, you were starting off your podcast conversations with parents, Jen. How's that been going for you?
Oh, it's great. It's been so much fun to do, and we've had so many brilliant guests. We've chatted about so many different things. We've had people like Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, on, and Miriam was on, which was a bit of fun to chat because obviously she has the 8 children, I have 7. Yeah. That ridiculous number of kids between us. So we had a bit of crap talking about things like that. We've had Terry Prome, we've had Brendan O'Connor. We've had so many people from such different parts of life, I suppose, and who are experiencing parenthood like the rest of us, but in their own unique way. We had Donal O'Shea on as well, which was brilliant because he was able to talk about being a dad and then give some expert advice as well from his medical position. So it's been a joy to do, and it's going really well. And we'll be back again. We're taking a little break for Christmas, and we'll be back again then in the new year. But no, going fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Well, I'm delighted to hear it. Jen, it's always a pleasure. Happy Christmas to you and to the family
Christmas,
as well.
Fran.
Thanks, Jen.
Bye-bye,
Jen. Bye-bye. That's the wonderful Jen Hogan there, journalist, of course, with the and columnist with the Irish Times, but also podcaster now, conversations with parents, and I'd highly recommend it to you if you want to hear some of the back catalogue of that. 1800 938 007 is 20 past 9.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Elderly and vulnerable patients suffering from illnesses such as dementia are facing new monthly fees of up to €50 for drugs in blister packs. Now, the Health Minister, Jennifer Carroll McNeill, has told the Dáil that the government will not intervene in the introduction of the new fees set to come in on January 1st. Now, however, the Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, said that he would look at this in some fashion. But I'm glad to be joined now by Jimmy O'Sullivan of O'Sullivan's Pharmacy in Feather. Jimmy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran.
I think people who don't know about this are a little bit confused. Could you just explain the issue here, Jimmy?
I will. So I suppose the first thing I'll explain is what a blister pack is.
Yes, please.
So basically, say the tablets come to us in a package and there's a foil inside, and people will push out the individual tablets that they take every day out of the foil. Now, a blister pack is a kind of situation whereby there's a maybe 30 centimetre by 30 centimetre container, and then there's maybe 28 units in that. So on one side of it, there's Monday, and that runs down Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Monday night. And then it runs across the top is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you have 1 week in that supply. So we get the medication, then push them out, and we put all the morning tablets in the morning packs, and then the containers underneath for the evening we'll fill those. So we do the whole thing, 4 packs then going away for the patient, and that's their month's supply.
Yes, and you've been doing this for years, Jimmy, isn't that?
We've been doing this for years.
Yes.
Yeah, like yesterday now I had a patient, elderly man living on his own in his 90s. He was getting on great with his medication, no blister packing or whatever, but he ended up in hospital. He came in, his niece came in, she lives about 30 or 40 miles away. Anne is her name. Anne came in to me, and medication was changed, so we went through the whole thing in the consultation room, so that was fine. And I said, Anne, it's got very complicated, and she said it is. And I said, wait, I think we're going to have to move on to a blister pack for this gentleman. And she said, that'd be brilliant. She said, I didn't want to ask you because I know what trouble it is. And I said, no, I think the time has come now that we need to do this. So what I do then is I go in and I go to my computer and I dispense the medication. But part of that is going back and looking at what the patient previously had, checking what changes there are, and then dispensing that and creating labels for that. At the same time, then I move on to another software for the blister pack situation. So he was a new patient, so create a new patient, put in all the medication, decide when they're going in morning, afternoon, evening for each tablet. And then I do that. I print out 4 of those sheets, and they go on to the blister packs when they're going out. Then some of my team will go and collect those medication off the shelf, comes back to the pharmacist again. I have to go through each one of those, make sure I have the right one before it goes into the blister pack, and make sure everything is correct. Hand it back to the team again. So they push every single one of those out. There could be 10 different packets, or 12 or 15, whatever it is, and they go into that plastic sheeting then, and then me, the pharmacist again, will come and check each one of those pods. There could be 28, there could be 56 pods, and I'll go through each one of those and make sure every tablet is in the correct place. And then I will put a seal on that, so that when the patient comes to take their medication, they just push through this little seal over the Monday morning one, and all their Monday morning tablets are in that.
Right. So it's a great service. And in the past,
work involved in it as well.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's a lot of work involved. In the past, you would have been paid for this by the HSE. Am I right in thinking that, Jimmy?
So the HSE then will say that there was this facility on our system called phased. So I suppose if like an instalment, you can phase it for 4 weeks, say. So that they would have given us an extra fee. They give us a basic fee to dispense the whole thing, and then because we were putting it in installments, they gave us an extra bit, and that was helping to cover The cost. No, the medication cost is the same. The instruments are the same, but it's the time, Fran. It's the time that it takes to do these processes, and it does. And it has to be checked. It has to be done properly.
Yes, and of course the risk there is that there might be misadventure of some kind, and somebody might overdose if this wasn't in place. So what's happened now? The HSE will no longer pay for this. Is that what the story is?
So you see, it started out by they were paying for it. Then over the last couple of years, they haven't been paying for it as much. So they covered it in certain circumstances. They cut the whole thing off. They decided then if somebody was getting a phased or an installment prescription or a blister pack, that they should only get it once a week, and they should come to the pharmacy every week and collect it. And thereby that would be deemed to be an installed or a phased prescription. So they started ringing patients then to know, do you collect your prescription every week or every month? And they say every month. And then HSE were saying, well, you can't claim if you're giving it out every month, we're not paying for that. So then it eventually had boiled down to say that they're only paying for certain medication that would be at high risk, or that for patients that we had say somebody say that would be on, I'll just give an example, say Valium or something like that, and the doctor is trying to get them off it.
Yes.
So maybe for the first week they're on 3 a day, next week they're on 2 a day, next week they're on 1 a day, and they're stopped. So it's kind of phasing down. So, like if I give the patient all of those in one go, they'd be back to me in 3 days and say, the dog ate the tablets, Jimmy, I haven't got any more. But where they're gone to. So we would bring it down to maybe every day, then they have to come in, they collect their 3 tablets every day. So again, there were the HSE, in fairness, on that end of it, they would cover that. But as regards anything else, they were not doing. They weren't covering it, and they're still not going to cover it. But some pharmacies now are deciding that they're going to have to charge. And we ourselves, we don't charge at the moment. But there's nothing to say. I don't know what's going to happen in January.
Right, and what's making headlines, as you know, Jimmy, is that monthly fees of up to €50. Might have to be paid, and it's described here as by elderly and vulnerable patients. Would you see that happening? Is that inevitable unless something is done here?
Well, maybe 10 to 20 euros would be the standard. I don't know where the 50 euro is coming up, but that is hitting the headlines. And I suppose you see the other side of things are people have to pay for their medication first before the blister pack. So maybe for somebody who's on a medical card and maybe has 12 tablets that they have to take, well, that's going to, and if they're over 70, that's going to be €10 per family. So if you have a husband and wife and both are on medication, that's €10 for the prescription for the family, say, unit. Then they pay probably €20 each per month for their blister packing as well. So that's a total of €50. So maybe that's where the €50 is coming from.
Maybe it is. The only thing that would concern me, and I'm sure it concerns you as well, is that if money is tight, people might opt not to do this, and then the outcome could be very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, the blister pack is really good, but if you have somebody who's maybe has a memory issue or getting maybe standard, that doesn't remind them to take their medication. And this is a big issue we have all the time. So the blister pack is sitting there, and we have carers coming in and saying, she hasn't touched the blister pack for a week, and it just doesn't, so there's a lot of different angles. But I mean, if people go back, I find when people are getting their normal medication in their normal situation, they know the boxes, they know the pack, they know what they're taking. When it goes to blister packing, all they know is that they're taking 15 tablets in the morning and 3 tablets in the evening. They know there's 4 white ones and 3 green ones and an orange one or whatever. Yeah. They don't actually know. They lose kind of that ability to be focused in on what they're actually taking. They're just, which is fine because, they have other things on their mind or whatever, and we take that responsibility for them on. But when often they go to hospital and they're asked what they're on, and they just say, I don't know. That's, But we do. Like most of the blister packs have the printout of their medication on them, so there is a way, people know what people are taking, but
so where is it going to end up then? Because I know that the Health Minister, Jennifer Carroll McNeil, has said that this wasn't agreed properly with the HSE in the first place. The Taoiseach said he was going to look at it after questions being asked from Sinn Féin. Where do you think we're going to end up with this, Jimmy?
I think there's a lack of trust at the moment between the HSE and the pharmacists for whatever reason.
Wow.
Yeah, I just feel they just don't if I ring them up and say, look, this patient is very vulnerable, whatever, they'll just say, sorry, could you get onto a consultant? They want a consultant, and the consultants are up to their tonsils, and they want a consultant's letter to say this patient. They won't accept it from me, so I don't know who they're going to accept it from. So, perhaps like a public health nurse who'd be kind of hands-on with these vulnerable patients. Like, if they allow them to make the decision, right, this patient needs to be blister packed or, monitor dose packed. And then that, if they were, HSE were acceptable, that would be a way forward, we'd be very happy with that as well, It's just, pharmacy needs some help with this because, we do a lot of them every day, and it is, as I explained at the start of the interview, there is a lot of work, there is a lot of time, there is a lot of professional input into it, and make sure everyone has been, and we need to treat everyone the same. It's not just, but we have even more complicated ones than that. I have people on, there's one patient, and he because he's so vulnerable, he has to have, his first medication at 7 a.m, the next one is 8, the next one's 9. Now that's one blister pack just for those 3 sections. Then he goes to high dependency daycare, they want a separate blister pack, so we do that. Then in the evening when he comes home, they need a separate blister pack. So that's 3, and then that's only 1 week, and multiply that by 4. And then at the weekends he has a different system. He goes somewhere else, and they need a different one. And excuse my French now, but a second bank holiday, then we're up the Swanee altogether, because that changes the whole thing again. But
right,
look,
so some very complex situations as well.
I must say, no, just in case, I'm not giving out.
Of course, I know that.
I really enjoy what I do, and getting to look after people like that. Talking to Anne yesterday, I was so delighted to be able to help them, and this is going to solve so many problems for them. And we're absolutely delighted to be, and all pharmacists are. But I suppose, look, we just need to be a little bit of recognition, a little bit of common sense, really, just to say, look, this is what's happening.
And on a slightly different tack, there is more recognition coming up, is there not? Because you will now, I understand, Jimmy, be allowed to prescribe certain meds, and that has come to fruition since we last spoke.
Which is great. I think we're doing the consultation. Like, people are coming into the pharmacy saying, look, I have this and I have this, and we're saying, look, it's more likely this is what you have, but we can't do anything. Go to the doctor. The doctors are overrun. So, what I think what's going to happen is there's a lot of online doctors there at the moment, whereby you can just go online and just click and click and click. That's where we're going to help with that situation, where we know the patients, we can see them straight in front of us, and it'll be much more professional. Now, we have professional training to do, which is fine, and that is correct. So hopefully in early 2026 that will be, so we'll be able to deal with sore throats, common eye infections, maybe chest infections.
There's 8 conditions, I think, Jimmy. Are there?
Yeah, children with minor conditions as well. So look, we're probably doing that, and we're direct on a Saturday. You can't get through to care doc, so we're directing some of the online doctors. We're checking that, making sure that's okay, and that's a really, that's, I think, where we're going to step in. We're not stepping on doctors' toes. I think the doctors think that's what we're doing. We're not. This is just another help in the overall healthcare of the
absolutely
patients.
But there will be a charge for that. Have you any idea what that charge is going to be for that consultation with your pharmacist?
I think it's going to be between 25 and 35 euros. So at the moment, the online doctors are about the 25 to 30 euro. So I think that should be a probably. But then, look, that's me just thinking other pharmacists might have, and there's no correlation. No pharmacist will say.
Right, there's not a price imposed on you from on high where this is concerned.
Would you believe that's anti-competitive? So you're not allowed to do that either. Yeah.
All right, interesting. And the other thing that, I mean, again, you and I would have spoken over the years, and a lot of your time is spent sourcing medicines and the shortages. Were you heartened to see the European Parliament reaching an agreement on a pharma package there, which might guarantee easier access to meds?
Hopefully. I mean, I think a lot of it is to do with pricing and how much the HSE will give the companies. So, like, I mean, if you have a company, say, in Sweden producing 1 million packets of cholesterol tablets, and they're getting €1 more in Germany than they are here, where is the medication going to go?
Right, but I thought that this pharma package was going to sort that out with fairer access to everybody. Is that me being naive about this?
No, but for us to get the medication in, the HSE have to agree a price with that manufacturer. Right,
but I thought the EU was going to make the agreement in this case. Is that not the case?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they. I don't know yet, Fran. But
right.
I know is the HSE whether they will they price the override the HSE. I'm not sure yet what's going to happen.
All right, it'll be interesting. And just finally, can I ask you about, and it's all over the papers again today, a surge in the flu numbers there. It's putting pressure on the health system. Is that being reflected in the pharmacy, Jimmy?
I've never, now I keep saying this every year, but I've never seen so many people not sick, really sick, Fran. Really,
Are you serious?
Sick.
Wow. Okay.
Really. I mean, not able to get out of bed, flattened out, not able to do anything for a week. And they're coming in now after the week they've been sick and they're just washed out. So look, the vaccine, Fran, is still available. We're vaccinating every day. Drop in, you don't need to book in advance. You just walk in and make sure you have your PPS number. And hopefully most places will be doing that now because it is gone to almost to emergency. Tipperary Hospital, Tipperary University Hospital have an outbreak of flu and an outbreak of novavirus. So the place is closed down to visitors. And so it is a kind of a perfect storm at the moment around. So a lot of very sick children as well. So look, if I'll say this, I know we've gone out of the habit of wearing masks. If you're going into a situation where you may feel you're at risk, put on your mask. And we'll go back to that for just a week or two. To get your vaccine now, it will have kicked in for Christmas. I think you're going to peak again at Christmas because people are going to be socialising. You're going to be inside, the fire's lighting, the heat is there, everything is conducive to spreading this thing.
Right, but this is as bad as you've seen it, Jimmy.
But it's just a really bad version of the flu that's there. People are really sick, really, really sick.
All right. Jimmy, thanks for your time. A pleasure as always. Thank you. Good morning.
Anytime, Fran.
Bye-bye to you now.
Happy Christmas if I don't hear
you. And many happy returns to you and your family as well. That's Jimmy O'Sullivan there from O'Sullivan's Pharmacy in Feather. 1800 938 007. Okay, lots coming into us. I'll have it glance through it and I'll bring it to you in a moment.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1800 938 007.
I'll be speaking to Dermot Good about private health insurance in the next hour of the programme, just after 10 in fact. So if you have a query about that, will you log that with us as soon as you can so that we can compile it all for Dermot? And that's 083 311 3311 for text or WhatsApp, or you can email us a query, and that's tipptoday@tippfm.com. Christy was on, and he says, good morning, Fran. In relation to giving gifts to primary school teachers at Christmas or end of school year, I can give you a better one. The principal was retiring a couple of years ago, and a WhatsApp group was set up by a couple of parents to collect money for his retirement. It was suggested that a €100 be donated towards his retirement. You can't make it up, says Christy, who obviously didn't donate the €100, I guess. Fran, why can't schools send out a note, no presents allowed to teachers, and other workplaces? People are not allowed to accept gifts in this day and age. People are under enough stress financially. Lots more coming into us on that. It was a historic day for Australia yesterday as it became the first country in the world to ban social media for under 16s. Now, teens will no longer be able to doom scroll on TikTok and Instagram and X and YouTube and the like. They say it's an effort to combat bullying and to give children their childhood back. Well, Catherine Ryan is with Ryan Marketing Solutions and she joins me now. Good morning to you, Catherine.
Morning, Fran. How's it going?
It's going pretty well, Catherine. Good to talk to you today. There's already speculation that this ban will be very hard to police and implement. What do you make of it, Catherine?
Yeah, look, with everything it will be, and there's a lot of privacy concerns, a lot of everything else, and look, it will come down to, I'd say, a lot of age estimation regarding AI and account behaviour. A lot of, I suppose, 13 to 15-year-olds have already been locked out. But with anything with technology, there's many workarounds. So you can use VPNs or fake age, parent accounts. Now, they probably will do more enforcement down on the road, but right now it is that stage of, right, what can we do right now and where can it go down in the future?
And of course, young people are so au fait with technology and particularly with social media stuff, Catherine, that they probably will find a way around this.
Yeah, I know they have 100%. They will be, and VPNs are a great way to kind of change your location or where you're at. And stuff.
Would you explain that to an old dinosaur like me now? Would you explain that to me?
Yeah, so basically, a VPN it's a protection mechanism, really, but you can put it on your laptop or your phone or whatever, and you can change your IP address or change your location of where you're at. So it tells you you're someplace else than where you are.
So you can put in a different age then into that as well, can you?
You can't really. It's more got to do with your IP address with it. So, say, but you could go onto your mum's phone or whatever on it. It's linked to kind of that kind of device.
Oh, yes, I see.
There's a little bit more to it, Fran, but that's kind of the basics of it. So it just allows bypass that initial. But ID and digital wallet verification will be a huge thing, which obviously has the implement of the privacy and all those type of things down on the road where it'll be stored for GDPR and stuff.
Now, I was listening to our Minister for Communications, Patrick O'Donovan, and he said the government is not considering this style of social media ban for under 16s at the moment. And he made all sorts of points about the European Union and as to why we couldn't do that here. Do you go along with that, Catherine?
Well, I suppose, look, with anything, it'll be a huge impact to businesses to a degree with this ban if it does come in, because a lot of the younger people, you won't be able to target them the same way in regards to social media. So a lot of influencers of a younger audience will be affected. But really, there is that element of kids are exposed too much too quickly to certain things. I do agree that there should be some, I suppose, procedures in place to protect it. And then but the new law in Australia does say the apps or the platforms, it's their control to do it. It's not on the parents, not on anything else, which I think is a good step forward. It means that I suppose, Meta and all those things do have to be more,
responsible, I suppose.
That's the word, in regards to things. And it takes the pressure off maybe parents and stuff like that, because it's a huge thing, and 96% of young people are on social media, and 70% say their access to harmful things or not typical things by the age of 16. So it is that kind of stage of you are trying to protect children from not seeing things they maybe typically couldn't see, but then there's the other side of, well, it's restriction maybe their access to information, expression, support. So just trying to find that right balance. But the EU is thinking about raising the default age to 16, which I think would be a good change. Right now it's 13. And then they are looking at maybe bringing in restrictions of again autoplay and the infinite scrolling and stuff. So those changes would be good. I don't know if a full ban would be the right move for Europe and Ireland, but definitely more regulatory things would be great.
And will you explain something else to us, Catherine? And some people making the point that they would be better to go after the algorithms, which is affecting what young people can see. Can you explain that to me, and does that make sense to you?
Yeah, so basically every app, so it goes back to the apps themselves, so Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all those, they're ran through algorithms. So it's basically based on your behavioural analysis. if you like a particular thing, they'll keep showing you up. So, for example, if you're going to continually watch, cats doing funny things, the algorithm will keep showing you cats doing funny things. Whereas if you're going to watch something that's, more harmful or not very thing, it'll keep showing you that up. So you can retrain the algorithm if you want to, but a lot of people don't do it. So that's what they do. They show things based on your behaviour. And that's what they're trying, I think, stop, is showing too much of things that maybe children shouldn't see all the time.
Interesting. Now, marketing is very much your thing, but I mean, some of the social media companies are saying that, they don't specifically market towards this particular age cohort in itself. Is that your experience, Catherine, that,
Yeah, no, most people would now. TikTok, for example, will be a more younger generation platform. And that's why I suppose that platform itself can be a little bit more quite negative as well, depending on the other ones. So it usually will affect businesses that would be like children and stuff, where they may need to target them. But overall, if you think about marketing point of view, all of your marketing shouldn't be just social media. So this will actually allow you to say to businesses, you can't just totally rely on it. Look at the overall, change your dynamic to over 16-year-olds, maybe focus more on targeting the parents, the grandparents, all those types of things. So their target audience will change, which I don't see mightn't be a bad thing in certain things, but they'll have to look like email, SEO, all these other kind of ways of marketing, not just relying solely on social media. Like I always say, you should never, your end of funnel, so where people buy, shouldn't always be social media. Because we've seen over the last couple of years, social media just go in the morning. It has, messaging go down, Twitter going down, and then affects huge businesses. So you should always, in marketing and in a business thing, always have a multi-channel approach, multi-channel strategy. So it protects you no matter what happens within the different things regarding marketing.
Yeah, of course, these young people will be the major customers of the future as well. So I guess companies will want to keep them on board and kind of nurture them, I suppose, in some way.
Yeah, no, they will. But like that is, I suppose, they will get over to 16, they will go up further and stuff like that on it. So, like, I would just definitely, there will be a shift to 16 plus to adult audiences. But like the parents or the the sisters and brothers can still be influenced further, the people underneath 16, but there just shouldn't be targeted campaigns because in the end, at that age, they're very they're very mindful of, they take in a lot more than they go on what they learn and what they see, rather than when you go older, you kind of have your own values, you have your own things, you can kind of hold your own.
While the ban on social media for under 16s in Australia is making headlines all around the world, but is what's going to happen here a little bit more useful, because it's a digital age verification tool, and I think you alluded to this earlier on, will be piloted by the government early next year. And Patrick O'Donovan was making the point again that it will ensure that only adults can access pornography, for instance, and similar content to that. So it will be a way to protect the children online. Is that more valuable, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a right step forward, because what it does is it kind of, instead of doing this harsh ban, it really does kind of control it, and then you can adapt and grow with it then, seeing what happens with it. I don't think doing a full ban will be very, very, will stop it all, because like that we can always see the workarounds, and a more restriction will have to come too. It puts a lot more on things. But I think more of a balance, like with anything, will be very, very important.
All right, Catherine, really good to talk to you today, and thanks for coming on with us. Happy Christmas to you, Catherine. Thank you.
Happy Christmas, thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Good morning, Janice. Catherine Ryan there with Ryan Marketing Solutions, talking to us there about that. What's been described as a historic day for Australia. It became the first country in the world to ban social media for under 16s, but already questions arising as to whether or not that is possible, I suppose, because youngsters will find ways around different things and all of that, and how difficult it is to police and implement. Tipp FM, we are very proud indeed to join forces, as we do every year, with St. Vincent and Paul for our Christmas toy appeal. Now the season is upon us, and we're asking you to help make Christmas magical for every child in Tipperary, and you know the story at this point. Donate a new toy. give a child something special to unwrap on Christmas morning. Now, you can drop your donations at collection points right across the county, and all of those depots up on our social media platforms, but certainly at our own offices here in Clonmel or in Nina Shanahan's Centre in Bursalee, Paddy O'Dwyer's Butchers in Cashel, the Community School in Cashel, Stakelam's Toys, Parnell Street in Thurles, Barry Super Value in Thurles, Eli Centra in Clare, Dolan's Super Value in Clare, and the list goes on, JKC's in Nina as well, and lots of places. And I know that you're already very generous to us, and I hope you'll continue to do so over the next few days. News and information is on the way.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now, stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Goreen Mahagat Pat, and welcome back to the second hour of Tip Today. Now, with the new year just around the corner, many of our inboxes inundated with festive offers on health insurance for 2026. But whether you're about to get health insurance or whether you've had policies for years, it's important that you would inform yourself about your policies. I'm glad to be joined now by Dermot Good of healthinsuranceireland.ie. Good morning to you, Dermot.
Good morning, Fran.
And great to talk to you again. Thanks for coming on with us. I was having a look at that report, Dermot, from Insurance Ireland, that nearly half of the Irish population now rely on private health insurance, while the cost of private claims has risen by a third since the pandemic. It's remarkable, isn't it?
It is. I mean, and they continue to rise. Unfortunately now, when you look at the way rates are going, and it looks like claims are going up by about 10 to 15% per year. Now, do you know what, Fran, when I look at this data, I mean, the interesting thing as well is that what's happening is one of the trends that has changed is that people are really not going to the public hospitals anymore to use their private cover because they know it's not really that effective anymore in the public hospitals. And as we all know, the whole objective of slaughter care is that anybody going into a public hospital will be treated equally, irrespective of whether they have private cover or not. That's the main objective. So we see people now who are getting routine diagnostics, they're getting day case procedures. We see more and more people going into the private healthcare system, you know, and in a way that's them using their cover because they know that if you want to choose which doctor, if you want to choose which hospital, your accommodation, and for most people, they want to be able to choose when they go in because they have families and they have work commitments and so forth. That's why more and more people now are going to the private system and using their cover, which, you know, is a good thing. But now it looks like the insurance companies have underestimated the volume and they've underestimated, let's just say, the cost of claims in the private system because it is more expensive to get treated there. And that's why we see claims increasing every year. And of course, once claims go up, that means your premium is going to follow. You know, so I would say to all of your listeners now, be prepared and brace yourself. You are going to get a shock when you get that renewal notice because if you're lucky, you're going to see a 10% increase. Most people it's 15%. And some people on the old dated schemes, particularly with Leia, found those increases are up to 27%. Right?
Wow.
So be prepared, absolutely. Expect a shock. Now, really the key thing is, well, what are you going to do about it? And hopefully we can help save people some money this morning. But just when people thought it couldn't get any worse, there's more increases coming from the 1st of January. Irish Life Health have just announced they're going to increase their rates by an average of 5%. And I see VHI and Leia on certain plans, about a dozen plans each, they're also going up by another 8 to 10%. So it's only going one way at the moment or whatever. So, but really, do you know what, Fran? This is a call out to everybody now with private health insurance. You know, never ever let your cover roll over. What we call auto renewal. Don't do that because if you do, you could be paying 10, 15, 20% more. And you could also be paying for less cover because they're changing all the benefits. So, you know, the call out to everybody is you must make one phone call. And that one phone call is to your existing insurance company. And you simply have a mug of coffee ready, you know, block out a half an hour. And your opening statement is, this is too expensive. I want you to check all of your plans now to see, do you have something with similar benefits that gives me similar cover, but that's cheaper? And don't be afraid to tell them what that budget is. Now, the key thing is you keep them on the phone. And now, don't you worry about all the plans, because there's hundreds of plans. That's their problem. And let them go down through all of their plans and then see what they come back and what they propose to you. And then the next question, if they come back with something that sounds promising, the next question is, great, now tell me, how does it compare to what I currently have? What am I losing and what am I gaining and what stays the same? And the people who go through that process, they get the best deals. And, I would particularly urge any of your maybe older listeners now, because I deal with obviously older members all the time with their cover, and they're fearful of making any changes to their plan because they're using their cover. And I would say now to any younger people listening, you need to basically find out from your parents or your elderly relatives what cover do they have, and you need to be with them when they're making that phone call. Because, look, in a lot of cases you can do it for them, because you could literally save them thousands. And here's the thing, Fran, 50 to 60% of people who do what I've just said, they'll get a better deal with the same insurance company. You don't even have to change insurer. But now is the time, because so many people are renewing now, like literally 500,000 people on the 1st of January.
Do a lot the time. Do make the cup of coffee as you advocate, Dermot, because I was trying to call VHI last evening and they told me I'd be waiting 16 minutes before anybody could take my call. So you have to be prepared, I suppose, to put the time into it as well. What you're saying to me there plays into one query we got from a husband and wife in the early 60s, and I don't know the name of the plan. It is with VHI, I know. A son as well in late 20s. Same plan for years and years and years and years, it says here. They're prepared to stay spending the same amount of money, but they're wondering, would they get more benefits if they made an inquiry about this?
Absolutely. Well, you see, and I would urge them now, if they're listening, please text or email into the show the name of the plan, because, you see, straight away, when anybody's reviewing their cover, so the first objective, any advisor talking to somebody should say, well, look, what is your objective here? Is it cost savings? For a lot of people, the current premium is unaffordable. Okay, so now the job is to try and rebalance their cover to give them as close to what they currently have that fits their budget. And by the way, a tip to everybody, Fran, don't be afraid to tell the insurance company what your budget is. Unlike other insurances, like you'll never tell a car insurance company, or anybody else, but with the health insurance companies, all the rates are set. So if your budget is €2,000 for you or €5,000 for your family, tell them, because that cuts out all the unnecessary upselling. That's the first thing. The second thing I would look at, if I was looking at their cover right now, I'm hoping that they don't have everybody on the same plan. Because, if you have, let's say, parents and then they have a younger dependent, the younger dependents' cover requirements are completely different to the parents. So the parents should be on a much higher plan. So lots of times what I will do is I will move the younger dependent onto a relevant, appropriate plan for their age. And then whatever savings I can generate that, I'll try and invest that back into the parents' cover to prop up their cover. So, you should always be trying to future-proof your cover. So too many people, when they look at their health insurance, they kind of, well, I'm healthy now, right? But that's not the issue. It's basically what might come down the line as you get older, and that could be a hip replacement or knee or shoulder replacements or cataracts. Joints and eyes are the typical ones that tend to catch people by surprise, whatever. But definitely, if they have not reviewed their cover, in fact, a question we get asked is, how do I know if I'm overspending or potentially on the wrong plan? Well, if you're spending more than $2,500 per adult, there should be a clear reason. If you're not on corporate plans, now these are the plans, if you think of all the big employers, let's just say in the Tipp, Cork, Limerick area, all the big corporate schemes, they get amazing deals from the insurance companies. But anybody can join those plans. So anybody listening now, if you have a son or daughter in the house who's working for one of these companies and they have fantastic health insurance cover, you can phone up that insurance company and ask for that plan by name, and they will give it to you, no issue whatsoever, if it suits you. And also, if you don't have a small excess on your policy, and also, Fran, if you have everybody on the same plan, that is a big... it's a big red flag for us of potential over-insurance. But if somebody listening now is on the same plan for 5, 6, 7 years, like, for example, plans like Health Manager with Leia, any plan with Leia that starts with the words Company Care, any plan with Leia that starts with the words Essential Plus, those plans are on the market 20 years. And if you're with Irish Life Health, if you have a plan that starts with the words Level 2, like Level 2 Hospital, Optimise, Business Plan, They're good schemes, but they're old plans. And even with VHI, if you're on premium care or advanced care, extra day-to-day, all good plans, but very old plans, which means those plans are significantly, expensive. So really, anybody, if you recognise those plans, then it's time to get your cover reviewed, because you could be overspending. And by the way, Fran, we're not talking about overspending by €100 per each. Like in some cases, we're talking about, I'll give you one example. Anybody now with VHI on the advanced care extra day-to-day, it's a good plan, but it's 3,880. If you basically check out the VHI Advanced Care 50 day-to-day, and if you like that plan, you could save €1,000 each. And anybody with Leia Healthcare, if you're on Momentum or Complete Simplicity or Company Care Plus, check out their Prosper Advanced. For some people, they could save $2,200 per adult, stay with Leia, and still have fantastic cover. They're the types of savings, Fran, for people who are on the older plans, and there's no exaggeration there. They're real savings right now for people.
Speaking of Advanced Care Extra, Kay was on to us to say, would you advise on an alternative to VHI Advanced Care Extra day-to-day for an 86-year-old? Ongoing injections for macular degeneration, underwent successful cancer treatment during COVID. Premium is $3,000 plus. She's on a plan recommended by VHI when they cease the old Plan B. She will obviously need to retain full ophthalmic cover and has never changed her health insurance since joining VHI when health insurance commenced, says Kay.
Absolutely. Now, and here's what I'd say to Kay. This is a perfect example. In fact, it's actually the one, Fran, we just mentioned there. So her plan right now on the Advanced Care Extra day-to-day, the renewal cost of that plan is $3,880. Now, if Kay would prefer to stay with VHI, she needs to phone VHI and ask them to tell her about a plan called Advanced Care 50 day-to-day. Okay. Now, there's a small excess of €25. So every time she will go in for the injections for macular degeneration, which is usually once a month, there will be an excess of €25. But even that excess over the year, that's going to cost potentially €300. But the new plan that I suggested is €1,000 cheaper. And for anybody in the same situation, if Kay was open to switching provider, that Leia Prosper Advanced scheme, that plan on the 1st of January is 2,563. And it's very similar to the one I just mentioned with VHI. So yes, Kay or anybody on those plans right now can still have fantastic cover in place, but potentially if they like either of those two plans, they could be saving €1,000 to €1,300 and still have super cover. And really, this is what everybody needs to do. And by the way, when you phone up the insurance company, you have to be very careful. Never ask them what do they recommend, because straight away they control the conversation and they'll suggest what plans suit them. And never ask them, do you have an identical plan that's cheaper? Because they don't, okay? But you will need to ask them, do they have similar cover that's cheaper? And once again, tell them what your budget is. So, for example, if my bill has just come in the door and it's €3,500 and all I can afford is €2,500, tell them. And then the challenge is for them to go down through all of their plans to find the one that's closest to what you have that fits that budget. And that's the way you play the game. And you keep them on the phone, because here's another trick now, Fran, on this, right? If you keep them on the phone, and in fairness, the insurance companies are very good when you engage properly. They know that the calls are recorded. So they have to explain everything to you about what the differences are. And then the other thing you can say to them before you finish the conversation is that, look, they have all of your claims on the screen in front of them. So if you're looking at a new plan, all you have to say is, by the way, if I moved to that plan and I had all those claims that are on the screen in front of you and I had all the same claims again, would I still be fully covered? So you keep them on the phone, you tell them everything, you ask everything, and sometimes people are shocked. People will often ask me, what's the catch here? And there is no catch. The only problem is if you're on the same plan for 10, 15 years, you know, you've been hit by every price increase over that period of time, whereas these new plans that are coming on stream, these new plans are only on the market a couple of years. And Fran, maybe just for people now who are maybe looking for good mid-level cover, like, you know, some of the best semi-private corporate plans right now. So if you check out, for example, now I always have to quote today's rates. Some of these rates may change on the 1st of January. VHI PMI 4316, brilliant cover, €1,613. Leia have a brilliant plan called Connect Choice, and today that plan is 1668, and that plan gives you 75% back on all your GP expenses. Irish Life Health have the Health Guide 2, really good scheme, and that's 1,770. And the new provider, Level Health, they've just launched a new corporate plan. It's called Plan Pro, and it's €1,515. And that's available to everybody. So once again, if anybody wants good cover, good cardiac cover, but they want to get money back on their routine expenses, those plans are available to everybody, whether you're 26 or whether you're 56. And maybe just one other thing on this, Fran. If anybody is thinking of joining right now, and let's just say they're on a budget, okay, they want decent cover, so they want to be able to go into maybe the bonds in Limerick or the bonds in Cork or Tralee or whatever, you know, the really good mid-level schemes right now. So I mentioned Level Health. They have a Plan B 300, and it's €1,027. That's probably the cheapest mid-level plan on the market right now, and that plan comes with free travel insurance. And by the way, if you have kids under the age of 3, well, that plan basically, you can get them insured free of charge. And then also the Level Health, Leia Healthcare, they have a new plan called Access Health, and that's €1,050. And that's also really good value. And by the way, for any families listening, Leia have just brought out a free cover deal. So if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids under 18, you can phone Leia, and on the 1st of January, you pay for the eldest child on whatever plan suits you. But then for the second, third and fourth child, you ask Leia about a plan called Flex 125 Explore. And if that suits you, you'll get those children insured for free for the rest of the year. So there are some really good deals there. But if you don't pick up the phone and engage, Fran, I'm afraid people are going to miss those deals.
I realise you're under time pressure this morning. Have you time for one more?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm on Connect Care 100, which cost me $2,500 last May. Really worried about the renewal date of the 1st of May 2026. I need cover for joint replacement next year.
Okay, so what I'd say right now, the Connect Care 100 scheme today is €2,765. Now, because their renewal, Fran, is the 1st of May, they just need to sit back and do nothing, because the price increase that came in October and any price increase in January will not impact this member until May. But right now, if they were renewing today, I would be telling that person to phone up Leia and ask about a different plan. Now, look, it's about €200 cheaper. It's the Prosper Advanced scheme with Leia. In my view, it's better cover. It's €200 cheaper, and it gives them all the cover they currently have. In fact, they'll now get 75% back on all of their outpatient expenses. They only get 50% back on the current plan. So for that person, you know, hopefully come May, the rates won't have changed too much, but the plan right now for them to check out, Leia Prosper Advanced.
Very good indeed. If people want to find out more, they can do so through healthinsuranceIreland.ie, I guess, Dermot.
Yeah, all that information and all the tips and all the kind of, you know, the plans that aren't poor value, it's all pretty much, all of that is up on the website, and I update that continuously, so hopefully people will find some helpful details there. But you know what, Fran, the best thing I'd say to people now, that one phone call to their existing insurance company, keep them on the phone, put them under pressure, as they say, to find you a better deal, and hopefully you can generate some good savings before the next renewal.
We appreciate all of the contribution right throughout the year, Dermot. Happy Christmas to you and yours, and thank you so much.
And the same to you and your listeners. Thanks, Fran.
Thank you. Bye-bye. It's Dermot Good there of healthinsuranceIreland.ie. We'll take a break, back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, puck on. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Gardaí, you're seeking the public's assistance in tracing the whereabouts of 36-year-old Grace Benyon, who has been missing from her home in Clonmel since Friday night, the 21st of November. Now, Grace, Gardaí and Grace's family are concerned for her well-being, as you can imagine. And a friend of the family, Tracy, joins me now. Tracy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And good to talk to you today. Will you tell us, first of all, a little about Grace, Tracy?
Grace was my mother's friend. She was a midwife. She's a mother of 4. She was a hardworking woman. As many people know, she was a light to many people. She was a confidant. She was just someone that had such a inviting personality, an inviting aura, and she's dearly missed in her community.
And everybody extremely concerned, I would imagine. Will you give me a description of Grace, Tracy, if you would?
So, as you know, Grace is Ghanaian, so she's dark-skinned. She's 5'2". She has brown eyes, and she has a short afro hair that's black at the moment she went missing.
Right. And have we any idea what she was wearing when she went missing?
No. She had disappeared when the children and the husband went to school.
Right.
So they don't have any concrete evidence of what she was wearing before she disappeared.
Now, I know, Tracy, you're looking for people to help out in searching for Grace. What can people do to help?
I feel like people should, I think, number one, the first thing is to just recall your memory, especially if you're in the Clonmel area, to see during the 19th to the 21st, had you seen her? I think I should urge people to check their CCTV cameras, because you do not know, maybe she had walked past and you would have never noticed. So I urge people to check their CCTV cameras, check around your area, because we don't know where exactly she is in Ireland at this moment of time. So if you thought you might have seen her, I think inform the Gardaí, because every information is vital. And also, you can join the Facebook page Finding Grace Benin on Facebook. We also have a WhatsApp group chat that also keeps everyone updated on the search.
And whereabouts was the home from where she went missing? Whereabouts did she live, Tracy?
She lived exactly. Lived in Clonmel, but sorry, I'm from Waterford City, so I might butcher the name a bit. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, it was on my list. Sorry, we had the visual last night, so I'm a bit worse for wear at the moment.
Yeah, sure, and that's understandable. But I'm just thinking in terms of CCTV and, you know, where people should be looking, and maybe what areas that we should be trying to harvest some CCTV information from.
Sorry, I'm just trying to remember.
It's no problem. We can get back to you where that is concerned.
Yeah,
but it's
sorry, all of it's on the Facebook page. Sorry. So in case I didn't have any information, all the stuff is linked, so there might be more of a if you want to look for any information that maybe will jog your memory, it will be all on the Facebook page.
All right, tell me about the vigil last night. There was a big turnout there, Tracy.
So we set up the vigil for hope, because I feel like in the community, hope always gets us through. Hope is something that will get us through dark days. And I feel like when we see this, and you see us in the community, to show that we are all hoping, we are all praying for her safety and for her to be safe. So I think the vigil was to come as a community and just pray for her and pray that she's safe, and just pray and hope that she's somewhere safe.
And so say all of us. I know that, I mean, I can hardly believe this, but there was some unkind and unfortunate speculation and all sorts of stuff put up on social media. I presume that's very difficult for the family, Tracy.
It was very distraught, I cannot lie. I think my only message right now to people, if they are listening, is to be kind, because we do not know the facts, we do not know the full details. And I feel like it's very hard for anyone to feel like speculated, because I've seen the husband, I've personally gone to his home, and he is distraught. He is feeling, it's a very difficult time for him, because all he wants is his wife back. And for those nasty comments, I just feel like we should all just be kind. That's a simple message.
Well, that's for sure. Just give me the Facebook page again. Is what, Tracy?
So I made a mistake, but it was Finding Grace Benin with an M, but her name is Benin with an N.
Okay, so that's BENYIN, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You can see it on the Facebook page.
Okay. All right, and all of the relevant information is there.
Yes. I keep up to date, and so I keep repeating the same information. So I will keep continuing, and then if anybody would like to join, we're going to try and do local searches soon. So if anyone would like to join, you can join through the WhatsApp link, which I'll pin after this.
All right. Okay. Well, Tracy, we can but hope, and thank you for taking time for us this morning to come on. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning to you. So that's Grace Benyon. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but the spelling is Benyn. If you want to go on Facebook there. Equally, if you have any information whatsoever, you can speak to Clonmel Garda Station. That's 052 617 7640. Or indeed their confidential line is 1800 666 111. So again, that's 1800 666 111. 1800 938 007. Now, yesterday, my good friend Murish Walsh was on with me, and we discussed Notes on Being a Man, which is a new book written by professor and podcaster Scott Galloway. Now, he argues in the book that men need to return to their, as he describes it, biological tenets of protect, provide and procreate. By abandoning those basic instincts in men, he says we've created a generation of asexual, asocial men. Now, Fiona's a frequent contributor to the show, and she joins me now. Good morning to you, Fiona.
Good morning, Fran. How are you?
And good to talk to you today. Some of what you said to us had me taken aback a little. You said feminists have ruined manhood and made men afraid to be masculine, and you said you're a mother of 4 sons, Fiona, and you're raising them to be men, and you put men in higher case there. You feel strongly about this, Fiona?
I do really, and I am conscious that I come through, I maybe look at life through the prism of being a mother of sons, but equally to balance that, I am a woman, so I am familiar with both sides of the argument. But I just see, I remember like living back in London about 102 years ago, and I remember people would. Now it often wouldn't happen, but very often would, like men would give up seats on the tube and all that goes with it, hold open doors and everything. But now I see that men are almost afraid to open doors. Yes. I've heard my own husband say it. You'd nearly be afraid that he opened the door open.
Me too, Fiona. Yeah.
And that I think a woman said to him, "Do you think I can't do that myself?" And he was going, "Well, fine, do it yourself." And I just think it's terrible, because I think that, I'm a firm believer in the difference between the sexes. I would never call myself by any stretch a feminist, although I'm a working professional woman. I'm educated. I'm not afraid to contribute or to talk about things. I'm very, very capable in my own right. But I'm a firm believer in the difference between the sexes, and I think that, I think that needs to be celebrated rather than men being attacked at every turn. Like, I just feel we see men, and I do look at the future for my sons. I feel we do see men being dragged down. God forbid they pay a woman a compliment. And my biggest thing is, it's like, I'm a feminist. I earn my own money. I can pay my own way. Wait a minute, you're not paying for dinner. It's such a double standard. Now, I have sons now who are, I've a son with a gorgeous girlfriend, they're all love her, and I have other sons who are dipping their toes into girlfriend territory. And my oldest two have taken, girls out to dinner, and the first experience we had at that was he was only a teenager, and he took his lassie at the time out to dinner, and I said, you know that you'll be paying for it, and he said, God, yeah, I know, and I actually gave him the money so that he could pay for it. And my big thing is that if my boys, if they ask a girl out to dinner or something, that absolutely they should pay for that. Now, if they end up saddled with the young one who expects them to pay, I'd be getting rid of her fairly handy.
Right, so that's a different ball game, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm not having my little prince has been taken advantage of by anybody.
And when you say, Fiona, that you're raising them to be men, and you put that in higher case in capital letters, tell me what else you mean by that. So we discussed there the fact that if they invite a young lady out to dine, they will pay. What else do you have in mind when you speak about that, raising them to be men?
Yeah, just if you can carry someone's bags, you carry someone's bags. Like my lads, they wouldn't. I get them to treat women like that. I would expect them to treat me. So, like, I wouldn't dream of carrying my own suitcase, for instance. You know, I'd have one of my boys would be doing that for me. I'm perfectly capable of doing it, and if we're all manoeuvring or whatever. But they were dropping me to the train there a couple of months ago. I was going in November, actually. I was going on holidays with my girlfriends, and my son carried my suitcase into the train, as far as the train for me. You know, it's little things like that. But the other thing that I've also taught them, now listen, don't get me wrong, I am raising these to be husbands. Capable husbands, useful husbands and fathers. They all do their own washing. They all load and unload the dishwasher. They all do all the jobs at home. But they will bring in the timber. They will bring in coal. They will light the fire.
Very good. When you say that you're raising them to be men, Fiona, you're not raising them to want to be weighted on hand and foot by a woman or something. That's a very different thing. Yes.
See, to me, that's not a man. That's a man baby.
Yeah.
You know, no, I don't mean that at all. But the other thing that I have said to them, the two older ones in particular, is if you're walking down a street and there's a woman walking in front of you, cross over to the other side of the street. You always need to be mindful that women, you know, we do travel in more danger than men.
Right. So
that's just a fact
so they
of life.
don't feel threatened in any way. Is that what's being... Okay. Yeah.
100%. And I've also spoken to them, you know, in school, keep your hands to yourself. There's no kind of tomfoolery, even if it's only hijinks and, you know, this rough and tumble that boys and girls get up to in school. Keep your hands to yourself. And I do speak to them an awful lot about consent and all of that, you know. But to me, being a man is someone who recognises the difference, who feels comfortable in his own masculinity, that he can feel safe in saying, would you like this seat, or opening the door, or even paying a girl a compliment, just saying, oh, you look really nice today. You know, I think all of those things are okay, and I think we women need to stop being so defensive against that, because there's a very good friend of mine and yours, Fran Allison, you know her well,
of course.
And she says, God be with the days when men were men and women were glad of it. And I would completely subscribe to that school of thought too.
And you go along with that notion of being able to compliment a woman, because again, that's something I would have pulled back on, because, you know, sometimes people would look at you twice, or do you come across as being a bit pervy if you say, you know, well, your hair is lovely, you've changed your hair, and you know.
And someone said that to me yesterday. Got my hair cut the day before yesterday, and I met somebody I was doing some work for, and we were in a big open office, and he said, "Oh, he said you got your hair cut. It's lovely." And I said, "Oh, thanks a million." You know, why would I need to be defensive about that?
I don't know.
Now, it depends on the compliment, Frank, or why do I call you Frank? Depends on the compliment, Fran. If you say to somebody, "Oh, those short skirts are lovely, you should wear them more often," that's not going to land brilliantly. So men do need to have a little bit of cop on when they're doling out these compliments. Sometimes men, I think, they dole a compliment that they don't realise is not a compliment. Like, why don't you smile?
Oh, Lord.
Now, that winds us all up, because maybe I don't feel like smiling today. But, you know, but I do think that mothers of sons, I think fathers of daughters and mothers of sons have huge responsibilities, because I think fathers of daughters, they train their daughter, they teach their daughters how to expect men to treat them. And I think mothers of sons have a huge responsibility in training their sons in how to treat women. You can give compliments that are genuine. If a compliment is genuine and it's not very overtly about someone's physical appearance, hair is probably safe enough. But anything else, or, you know, you look really nice today.
But it's common sense, is it not, Fiona? I mean, surely we all know what not to say or what might make somebody feel uncomfortable.
Well, not always. People don't always know. That's why I think sons need training, and men, you know, I don't mean this disrespectfully, men do need training, because I do think sometimes that, whereas you could say, you know, God, sure, a compliment is a compliment, but if a man compliments something to do with a woman that she might feel insecure about, you know, it's not that they should be afraid to compliment, but don't be overly personal about the compliments.
And you talk about the father training and the mother training, or maybe helping kids to understand, I suppose. But what comes up in the book as well is children then that come from a single parent family. Is it more difficult for them, do you think, Fiona?
I think it has to be, and, you know, I mean, I don't have experience of that myself, but I think it has to be, you know, because to have the balance in the household, obviously, look at that, that's the ideal, but an awful lot of people are not living in that ideal. But I do know great women who are raising sons or daughters as single parents, and
absolutely.
They're lucky enough, I suppose, to have great kind of opposite sex influences around them. But the thing about it is, I think, like, we don't want to bring masculinity or manhood down to someone who is grunting in an armchair waiting to be waited on. To me, that's not masculinity. Masculinity is somebody who is really comfortable in their own persona, and that they're happy to be balanced by a masculine man is not going to be afraid to hitch his wagon to a star of a really strong, capable, independent working woman. I think a masculine man is someone who's comfortable with someone who is maybe the softer edge of it, or who's strong enough. But a masculine man who isn't afraid. Like, I would say to men out there, don't be afraid to open doors. Don't be afraid to offer up seats. If you want to hold back on the compliments, that might be the safest way, unless you know the women you're dealing with. But, I don't know any woman who doesn't like a man to be chivalrous, and I do think we're losing that. I think it's an awful pity. I think society is going to be way worse off because of that.
And my favourite hobby horse is, I mean, years ago, a really unfortunate situation where you wouldn't be able to sell a car unless you had a woman in a bikini draped all over it. Now we're gone to the opposite extreme now, where, to sell washing powder or washing machines or something, you have to portray a man as being the idiot, and he has to be lectured to by the woman. So we're gone the complete opposite. But does that play into perception of men then? That's
Now, I'm going to be very careful how I say this, Fran, because I adore men, and I adore my sons. I just, but men can sometimes be a little bit clueless when it comes to stuff that is really obvious to us women, and that's just the difference of the sexes. And I don't ridicule, but I wouldn't ridicule them for it. I would train them. Like my lads, they were blinking at me slowly when I suggested they do their own washing, and I said to them, you can operate and program a PlayStation. Don't tell me you can't put on a setting on the dishwasher or the washing machine, and that's it. But so it is. I think it's a caricature of what men can sometimes be portrayed as, but I don't subscribe to it. I don't agree with it. I've went and I've bought cars on my own without my husband. At the same time, I would very much value his opinion if I am looking at a car, but I'm able to do it myself. But he would never dream of saying to me, he's masculine enough to never dream of saying to me, Fiona, I'll come with you now when you're buying that car because you won't know what you're doing. He's comfortable enough in his own masculinity that he can let me off because he knows I'm capable.
Of course,
and to me, that's masculinity.
Yeah, it's very. Is it a good thing that we're all having these conversations now? I mean, some aspects of the book I would disagree with because I think he tried to be ultra controversial at times with some of the stuff that he said. But is it good that it's prompting conversations like this, Fiona?
It is, and I hope that the men are really, really listening to this. And I would say to them, don't be afraid to be men, because I think there are far more. The problem is, I always find the minority in whatever's going on, it always tends to be very vocal. That's why people call them the silent minority or the silent majority of us out there, or the vocal minority, isn't it? So the silent majority of us, I feel, personally, this is purely my opinion, would prefer men to open the doors, to offer up a seat on all that goes with it, But I hope the men are listening, and I'd love them to stop being afraid to be masculine. That doesn't mean they're going out dragging women by the hair into caves. That's not what that's about. It's just being strong enough in your own persona to understand that you are a man. You're very different to a woman, and you don't have to dumb down your masculinity or try to become effeminate in a way to travel safely through life.
Great contribution as always. Fiona, lovely to talk to you. If I don't talk to you before Christmas, happy Christmas to you and all the lads.
And happy Christmas to you, Fran. Love the show, and happy Christmas to Ali and Leanne and all your listeners.
Thanks, Fiona. Thank you. Good morning to you. We'll take a break, back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Join the conversation in Tipperary. Contact us through Facebook, Twitter, or email tipptoday@tippfm.com.
Alyssa says, I'm proud to say I raised 3 sons, all good, fine young men now, looking after and providing for their families. Unfortunately, there are those women who think their sons need to be waited on hand and foot by their partners, just like they did for them. That's it. Was on 083 311 3311. Leanna's with me. The question, of course, is, do you have all of the shopping done?
Good morning, friend. I was going to ask you, that's the one question I was going to ask. Have you done your Christmas shopping?
I never do Christmas shopping. I just give money.
I'd be insulted.
Would you?
You didn't think enough to buy a present. You just tried to buy me off with money.
Story of my life, yeah. Story of my life. No, I never buy presents. I just give money.
Oh, I'm an expert Christmas shopper.
Oh, are you indeed?
I consider myself, an expert.
So what is an expert Christmas shopper?
So with each person now, I won't say too much because I don't want anyone to know what I got them. But I'm
going to tell.
I pick something that I know. So I pick one hobby or one thing someone has mentioned.
Okay.
And I go down that route. So I know, like, if someone really likes fishing and they have mentioned it a few times in conversation, I'll think, okay, fishing. And then I'll go to a fishing shop and buy something there. So it's to make them feel like I know them and that I've picked something personal. If someone likes cooking, I'll go into somewhere that I know has like really good mixers or blenders, and I'll pick something personalised for each person.
It's a lot of trouble. I mean, it's wonderful, but it's a lot of trouble.
I love giving presents more than I love getting presents.
Right, so you actually enjoy the shopping.
Birthdays, Valentine's, Christmas, anything that involves buying presents for people.
Have you advice for people out there who are not naturally good Christmas shoppers? Have you?
Well, if you don't know, if you're trying to find something for someone you don't know too well, for men, it's always good wallets, belts, socks, nice socks. So things like that. You can even get them personalised with their name. You can get a belt with someone's name stamped onto it, a wallet. Keychains are nice too. If it's someone you need something small, you can get personalised ones now with a picture if you have with them. Then for women, if they like a bit of self-care, you can get like heated slippers now.
Heated
So you put your feet into them while you're watching telly. Face masks are great. Actually, a lot of the pharmacies do amazing skincare or bath hampers.
Okay.
So a lot of the local pharmacies have great hampers done up. So you just buy the hamper. And that's another one of my things. Hampers.
And for husbands out there, is there anything wrong with giving a vacuum cleaner or
I don't think I'd be too pleased. Unless they specifically ask for them. But then some people like practical gifts. Okay. So practical can be good if they ask for it, but I wouldn't get someone a new Hoover if they didn't ask for it. Money would be better in that case.
That's why I think, you see, it's a safe option. It's a safe option. Just give the money, simple as that. Anyway, but you enjoy it.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. And I presume it's all done and dusted for you. You have
I've everything got. Yeah. Now, I was a little bit later this year because it's been a busy year, but everything is packed now, but I hate wrapping.
Okay.
Hate it.
Oh, do you? Oh, right.
I don't have the hand-eye coordination for wrapping.
Right. Somebody says to us here, my birthday's coming up soon, Leanne. I'm just saying. I'm not sure who that might be. And also, God, Leanne must be loaded. There you go. Now you see.
I wish. That's the thing. You have to budget for Christmas.
Oh, go on.
I'd always do that. I'd always kind of know and have a price range in mind coming up to Christmas. Have a little bit left aside. I don't leave it to last minute because you never know what's going to come up in your life and you're going to have to kind of pay for something you didn't expect to.
God, you're so organised. I need some advice on money management from you as well as everything else. All right, if you want to talk to Leanne about shopping or anything like that, 1800 938 007. Thanks, Leanne. I won't say anything about seeing you coming out of the outdoor shop in Nina. Did I say that out loud? I did. News and information's on the way.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the final hour of Tip today. Stephen was on. Stephen says, Fran, I've opened doors and paid for meals all of my life on dates and in relationships. We need to teach our children how to be gentlemen and ladies, as it's not something they'll learn on social media. It's slowly dying in this age, I'm afraid to say. I love being a gentleman, as it brings a good feeling with it. I thank my mother for this. She played a great role in my upbringing, says Stephen to us on 083 311 3311. Lots coming in following that conversation with Fiona, and it's something we will get back to again. Mr. Menswear, located on Fire Street in Cashel, Abbey Street in Kerr. They've given us a €50 voucher to give away every day this week, so it's time right now if you want to get involved in that, and all you have to do is text Mr. to 083 311 3311. Give us your name and your details, and it gets you into the draw there. And our good friends at Mr. They cater for men's wear, boys wear, First Holy Communions, confirmation, men's casual wear, boys casual wear, and sizes up to 8XL. And they also look after you if you want to hire a suit for a wedding. So there you go. We'll keep that line open for about 30 minutes or so. 1800 938 007. Now, the Clonmel Rugby Club Male Voice Choir have been invited to perform at the sold-out Munster versus Gloucester Rugby Championship in Páirc Uí Chaoimh this weekend. And I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by two members of the choir and the club. Mark Small is with me, and Tom Fennessy as well. Good morning to you both.
Morning, Fran.
Good to see you today. Tom, you've nominated that we would speak to Mark first. He said, talk to him and get that out of the way, Tom. Is that it?
I have no problem with that. Good morning, listeners. I'm beginning to feel like Tommy O'Brien, the great renowned broadcaster, that was once broadcast in Radio Ireland for Clonmel.
Yeah, good evening, listeners.
Good evening, listeners. This is his programme. Yes,
you're bringing me back memories.
It was world renowned at the time.
For sure, it was indeed.
I have the accent and all for him.
You have indeed, Tom. You could. We'll hire you for Sunday nights here on.
Oh, that's okay. That'll cost you.
Oh, there's money involved. That's a whole different ballgame altogether. Mark, when you kick this off for me, tell me about the choir, because you're going 10 years. 10 years at this.
Yeah,
stage,
next year will be our 10th anniversary. It was the brainchild of John Kelly, who was a club member of the time back in the 2015-16 season. So Christmas 2016 was our first concert, and John had this mad idea that he'd get a bunch of rugby players to sing and do a bit of a fundraising at Christmas. I think, unfortunately, I wasn't in that year. I was ill at the time, so yes. But I went to it, and I think a lot of people turned up to that particular concert to check how bad we were going to be, as opposed to what show could the club make of themselves. Yeah. And you know what? I think everyone was pleasantly surprised. We had Keith Green, who was our choir master, and I think he had the patience of a saint, because I think there was a couple of people who could sing or read music, but yes. I mean, I think the vast majority of people were looking at the music sheets, and we used to equate them to the golf sticks. The golf sticks are either sticking up or sticking down, and they're the left and the right, and nobody really knew what was doing that.
Sure.
So it started, and it was great, and as it transpired, it was a great fundraiser. But actually, it's been a much bigger addition to the club than purely a fundraiser for the club.
From a social point of view, you mean?
Yeah, and I mean, what really happened was, and I mean, it's being expanded since, but what's really happened is that the members of the choir who were initially all ex-players and ex-club people, what tends to happen is when you finish in the club or you finish your playing career, you kind of fall away from the club and you're not as involved in that. But since the choirs got together, like, we've had, I think the youngest is probably about 18 and the oldest...
Don't be looking at me, man.
Not Tom. No, Tom is one of the younger, older. There is some people, and it will be significant. And they've really put an energy back into the club, and because they've been involved in the choir, now they've started helping out in the club. So and I think it's a great feeling when all the lads are together and we're singing away. Yeah. We meet, generally we do only one concert a year in September, and from a mental point of view, health point of view, and a camaraderie point of view.
Great? Are you there right from the start, Tom?
I was there from the start. Yeah,
right.
I think Tom's been from the club from the start.
Well, in 1969 we re-established the club. It was gone into a bit of a hiatus there since 1961. And we re-established it, and many of us who were involved in that re-establishment are still involved in the club, and indeed 2 or 3 of us are still involved in the choir, now.
Isn't
and that's
great,
been a great, gives you a great sense of longevity.
And do you remember that first concert in 2016?
I do very well. It was in Old St. Mary's, one of the great old historic buildings of our town, and. Again, I think Mark has summed it up very well. People came for a gawk. You know what they say?
Yes, sure.
They came for a gawk. And they listened to see how bad we were rather than see how good we were.
But they were pleasantly surprised.
They were, but I think Keith Green did a wonderful job at us, and we always admired his patience and also his professionalism. He was superb. And he moulded us together over about 10, 12 weeks. And we surprised ourselves, actually.
Did you always sing yourself, Tom?
On occasions, I have been known to provide a song or two.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Johnson's
and did you sing,
Mark?
No, I would describe myself as I can't sing, but I'm very enthusiastic. And that's the fantastic thing about a choir. Now, we have some fabulous singers in the choir. We have about it. Absolutely fabulous singers. But you don't have to be a member of a choir. You don't have to be a fabulous individual singer. No. I mean, with the basses and the baritones and the tenors there.
Yeah, it's the overall sound.
It's the overall sound. Yeah. And, you can hide sometimes when you're not quite getting the note, the miming, the fish face.
Some of us do.
So yeah, I mean, no, but I wouldn't know what I consider myself. But enthusiastic, but also I've learnt a lot in the choir.
And what about this great honour then that is going to happen at the Munster Gloucester rugby game? How did that come about?
Oh no, that's a secret that only Tom can tell.
Is it? Tom, would you tell me the secret?
Well, as I said there a while ago, I've had a long time in rugby playing and being involved in the administration and the club and with Munster Rugby. And last year, a very good friend of the club and of mine, who I played with and against, Brendan Foley, Axel's father.
Yes.
He was president of the Munster branch, and we were at a lunch above in Thomond Park, and we got chatting, and I mentioned the possibility to him, and he said to me, "Leave it with me." But he said, "Tom, this could take some time."
Yeah.
And it has taken some time, but he never fails. And I got the phone call last week inviting us to do so, and of course I was slow in answering. Wouldn't we?
Yes.
What was this all about, like? And we announced it then last Wednesday week, and the enthusiasm and the cooperation and the support from all the members of the choir putting things together for it has been fantastic.
What will it involve exactly? What exactly happens?
Well, what usually happens at the Munster matches is, and this is a unique one because this is going to be our biggest audience ever, between 35 and 40,000.
Wow. All sold out.
All sold out.
Yeah.
Will involve guest singer Cara O'Sullivan, I suppose, is the late great Cara O'Sullivan was probably one of the greatest that we had down through the years, and many others. And there'll be a guest singer there this year, and we will be the backing group and the chorus to them. And it involves we'll be there matches at 5:30 on Saturday evening. Munster playing Gloucester, a very famous contest because of the long history in the Heineken Cup, because this is the old Heineken Cup, now known as Champions League. That's not until 5:30, so we'll have 2 or 3 hours of sound rehearsal and dress rehearsal on the pitch, and we will sing with her the great Munster anthem, Stand Up and Fight.
Wow.
And
that'll be stirring stuff.
Absolutely stirring stuff.
Yeah, whatever about the haka, this is going to overtake that.
This is our haka, but the dancing is out of it. The gesticulations that they go through. We'll do all that afterwards, maybe in Elders later on.
I can well imagine it. It's going to be a great occasion, isn't it?
It's going to be an incredible occasion. I mean, and it's an incredible honour for Clonmel Rugby Club to be invited, and the choir. I mean, the club is doing really well at the moment. We're top of our league. We're playing well. We've a very tough game this weekend against Bective,
our old friends.
In Dublin, and hopefully that will go according to plan. But I have to give credit to Suzanne, who was our current musical director for the
Suzanne Buttermer,
incredible amount of work that she has put into both the choir and, I mean, her day job being the Rockwell Music Academy.
Yes. She's director of the Musical Academy.
And then the amount of work she does for the club. I mean, that family, the Buttermers.
Just remind us about the Buttermer family.
Yeah, so Fergal Buttermer, he's our director of rugby.
Yeah.
Suzanne is the mammy, as they call it, the rugby mammy of two incredible players, Henry and Beth, who both of them have a unique honour and record of being the first ever brother and sister to play underage rugby for Ireland in the same year.
Wow.
Yeah, and Beth now has been selected for the Irish, at the World Cup. She was selected for the team, or the senior team, and she was one of the youngest ever selected at 18 for the Irish squad. So we're just waiting for her first cap.
Yeah,
but I'm sure will come.
And I presume we'll see you all on TV then. This is going to be televised again.
It is being televised, yes.
Yeah.
And most likely we will. I'm not sure how they run the situation with regard to that. But generally, having been there in Thomond Park and in Park Equive the time we beat South Africa as well, I think it's most likely that we will be, and a choir of our standing and attraction would naturally
and good
tend
looks
towards,
and a handsome bunch and all that,
capable of performing that well.
Is the great. You have your concert coming up as well.
Yes, we have our concert next week, next Thursday night in Old St Mary's. We're looking forward to that. I mean, as in the last number of years, we've been very lucky is that the concerts have sold out.
Yeah.
This year we have a little new innovation. We have what we call the ladies and the rugby mammies and associates are all joining us. So the male choir will have a really solid female voices joining us, which is going to be really good.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. So that's at Old St Mary's.
Old St Mary's, yes. 8 o'clock next Thursday.
And tickets for that?
Tickets will be on sale from Eldon's. Okay. Predominantly, that's probably the easiest place for people to find it. Yeah. Or if you know one of the choir members, they have tickets as well. €20. It'll be a fabulous night out. I mean, it's not just a concert. There'll be pantomime, I'd say, almost. There'll be all sorts of things going on.
Yes. Excellent. And you're kind enough to give us a pair of tickets. We'll give those away on the programme tomorrow. But very nice of you to do that. Munster, are they struggling? I'm no sport. Are they struggling a little bit, Tom?
In their last match, they were struggling, but they fought very well in the second half. I think the new coach is taking time to bed in, and as well as that, we don't have the financial resources that Leinster have, for example.
Sure, yeah.
And they have the schools, and we have minimum number of schools. But I think it'll take at least a year for this man to get his feet and to get a squad around him.
And he should be allowed that time, I guess.
He should be allowed that time. But in fairness, the Munster fans are, I suppose, they're the most loyal and the best travelled fans that you will find. Mark and I have travelled many a time to foreign parts to support them. And I think myself that they'll win on Saturday. I'd be very confident. They have a few good players coming back.
And they have a very solid choir behind them as well, of course.
Yeah. Which will play a part.
We will definitely get the crowd going. There's no question about it.
Well, it's a delight to see you both, and thanks very much indeed for that. And the best of luck with your concert as well on the 18th, and tickets going on sale for that largely in Eldon's, I suppose. But if you know some member of the club, you'll be able to get them that way as well. Great to see you both. Happy Christmas, and thanks very much. Thanks to Mark, and thanks to Tom. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more 19 past 11.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Well, the Christmas season and the shopping in full swing at the moment, and towns and villages bustling with activity. But what about parking? Edwina joins me now. Edwina, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran. How are you?
I'm well, Edwina. Lovely to talk to you again. Will you tell me your experience around parking? Because it's a kind of a cautionary tale, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I suppose before I start into kind of a rant or that, I just want to thank the staff. We had an appointment at South Cliff Hospital yesterday, and I just want to thank the staff. You know, they were really, really good. We were in the Peas board, and you know, they're just absolutely fantastic. You know, they're so kind, they're so good at what they do, and I just wanted to give a shout out before I start into what came next.
Very good. But what you're talking to us about is parking at the hospital, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Will you tell us your story then on that?
Yeah. Basically, Fran, it was absolute chaos there yesterday. When we arrived, the bottom line is that they're after introducing a new parking system, which isn't working, and there was absolute chaos there yesterday. When we came, we were literally in and out in half an hour. You know, it was a pre-booked appointment or whatever. We were in and out, no problem. And when we got to the pay station, there was a couple of us standing around, and there was people on the phones and whatever. And you know, we were kind of saying what was going on. But the bottom line, anyway, is that it was absolute chaos. There isn't a ticketing system anymore. It's basically where they capture an image of your license plate, and you know, you pay then as you know when you go out, you type in your a license plate number, and they charge you as a result. So what was happening yesterday is that I got charged €8 for half an hour, which was fine. Right? Okay.
Well, that's not fine, Edwina. That's very
I know.
expensive.
Yeah. But there was a guy that was on the phone. He was on the phone to security. There was a notice to say that if there was an issue with parking, please ring security. He was on. They were trying to charge him €20. He had been charged the night before an extraordinary amount. Because he had been in visiting someone who was very ill. The person that was standing behind me was, when she typed in her number, she had only got in for an appointment similar like ours, in and out in a half an hour, kind of 40 minutes. €40 they wanted.
Whoa. Ouch.
€40.
So obviously the machine is wrong and is calculating.
Yes. It was absolute chaos there yesterday, Fran. There was no notification to say that there was a new system in place. There was nothing, you know, we're sorry for your inconvenience. There was absolutely no warning system whatsoever. It was absolute chaos there. You know, like having to ring security, you know, when that is not their job remit to be parking attendants. They have enough to be doing in a hospital that's overcrowded at the moment. It's on lockdown, you know, with the norovirus and the flu virus.
Yes.
So, I mean, whoever came up with the bright idea in the first place to introduce a new ticketing system at their busiest time of year, you know, it's just beyond.
Did you question your €8 for a half an hour?
Oh, I didn't. No, I just paid and wanted to get out there, Brian.
But that can't be right.
You know,
that can't be right, though,
no.
Edwina. Yeah.
No, it's not. No, and it was clearly an issue. You know, there was clearly an issue. But I mean, you know, my thing is that it's not the job remit of security to be parking attendants to be looking after this. I wanted to highlight the fact, you know, because you know there were people who maybe you know will tap and go and not think about the price of
Absolutely.
it. If you get me,
you
know, you're under pressure, you're under strain. Currently, you can only visit people, you know, who are very, very ill. Or, you know, in compassionate circumstances or that, because there is a visitor ban there at the moment. So people are under a lot of stress at this time of year anyway, and when you're going into a hospital, you know, it kind of compounds it. So my thing was that it's just that there was no warning system.
Yeah, and when people were trying to get answers from security, was it just on a phone or on an intercom basis, or did anybody present themselves at the machine?
No, nobody presented themselves. No. Okay. It was literally you had a number to ring, and like needless to say, everybody was ringing. You know, there was 4 or 5 of us, and we were all trying to ring. And I mean, as I said, it's not the job remit of security staff.
So
to be parking attendants either.
Right, so you made a decision, look, I'll pay this and I'm out of here. Like, you know.
Yeah,
so.
Because I had a small child with me.
Of course. You didn't have time to be messing around, yeah.
No, basically, you know, and I suppose like it kind of, another thing that kind of annoyed me as well, I was kind of in enough form when I came, you know, by the time I got to that, was the fact that, you know, the mask situation and the lack of wearing masks within the hospital. You know, this
where flu is so prevalent, you're saying to me, and
the norovirus, which are highly contagious, highly transmissible diseases. You know, and I was listening to Jimmy O'Sullivan on this morning, and he was describing that people are extremely sick.
Yes.
Very, very sick with the flu, and I've spoken to numerous people who are very, very ill with this respiratory virus, be it, you know, whatever they like to call it, whether it's the flu or whether it's a new virus or whatever. But people are very, very sick. People who wouldn't necessarily be sick with it or suffer badly from flu. It just seems to be, you know, it's an issue.
Right.
And to find that both staff and, like, when you came to the door, they were stopping people, and, you know, you had to have a reason. You had to state your reason for being there. Neither of the two people that were at the door were wearing masks.
Are you serious?
But I'm a fan. Okay. So, we, you know...
But if a hospital is in lockdown, you'd presume that would be the first thing that would be put in place, you know?
Yeah. So, we go in... you know, you go in, you clearly see that patients, when they got in the door, our clients, whatever they were, that they took off the mask when they went in there, because when I was walking around, you know, there was nobody wearing masks in there. There was maybe a handful of us, you know, that weren't wearing our masks. I put a mask on my child because I don't want him to pick up anything coming up to Christmas. You know, and even the staff members. I remember one young fellow walked around the corner. He had the mask under his nose, and when he saw us, he pulled it up.
Oh, for God's sake! Yeah.
Now, Fran, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, I think that they should now look, you know, to sound pious on it, like, but I mean, they really should be leading by example with this, given that it's just so prevalent at the moment. And I just, you know, I'm always astounded by the HSE, how flu season and respiratory virus season comes as a surprise to them every single winter.
I know, I'm sorry for laughing, but it's just the way you said it there was funny. But yeah, you're right. And we talk about this every single time. At this time of year, every year. You're right, Edwina.
Every year, yeah. Right, yeah, it comes as a surprise from every single year.
Oh, wow, we have flu out there, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to be inundated, and we're going to have to start cancelling outpatient appointments and non-elective or elective procedures, and, you know, we're just going to keep on pushing back the wait list and the wait list and the wait list every single year, you know. I mean,
Edwina, I know you well enough to be able to say this to you, but you sound very cross. Like, were you up to 90 yesterday? Were you really cross about everything yesterday in the end, were you?
Well, no, to be honest, like, I think it was just the fact that, you know, I do get annoyed at the fact that, you know, that people won't wear masks, you know, within hospitals. That does annoy me. You know, I do think that it should be that as the organisation itself should be more proactive.
Is it because mask wearing was so controversial around the COVID years, and, you know, people questioning whether or not they were of any use? Does that play into it, do you think, in some way?
To be honest, Fran, like, I mean, you know, the issue with masks and stuff is that people were wearing pieces of polyester that they were stuffing into their pocket and using like a dirty handkerchief, you know, and putting it on their face again. And, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and then wondered why they got COVID. Do you know that kind of way, or why it was so transmissible? Do you know that kind of?
I know.
Like, that did play a part in it as well. Do you know? It was a highly transmissible disease, and, you know, for someone that got it a couple of times myself, and did wear masks and whatnot, you know, I do believe that it does save people who are vulnerable, who are immunosuppressed.
And however people might feel about it, I mean, when you're in a hospital that's in lockdown because of infection, you'd imagine that it would be a basic requirement, but there you go.
Yeah, but then, you know, like, it's not been enforced by staff, you know, on the staff, if you get me. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, monkey see, monkey do, you know, that kind of way, you know. So,
it sounds mad to me. We'll find out more about the parking system there. We'll email and we'll see what we can get on that.
I think just for people, because, I mean, it is stressful enough without this kind of thing, and I'd love to know the thinking behind why they decided to do it at the busiest time of year.
All right, well, we'll ask them that. We'll ask them that as well. Edwina, happy Christmas to you and yours, and thanks for your time this morning. Thank you. And
many happy returns. Thank you, Fran.
Good morning to you, Edwina. The winner of a €50 voucher, Aisling Golding from Bursley. Well done to you, Aisling, with thanks to Mr. in Cashel and Care.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tip today on 1800 938 007.
The Conspiracy Files on Tip Today.
Morning, Ellie.
Good morning, Fran.
And what conspiracy have you for us today?
Well, it's kind of a true crime conspiracy we have this week. It's the Circleville letters. Now, anyone who's familiar with true crime or the conspiracy surrounding true crime is probably familiar with this kind of story. But for anyone who isn't, Circleville in Ohio, it's a small town about 30 miles south of Columbus, which is the state capital of Ohio. And now it has that very quintessential Midwestern charm. It has an annual pumpkin show, very quiet streets.
Small town America.
Very small town America. A vibe that kind of makes you think nothing crazy would ever happen here. But in the 1970s, something very crazy actually did happen in Circleville, because over the course of several years, a number of residents in the town were terrorised by a mystery letter writer. Now, this author seemed to know everything about everybody and wasn't shy about sharing it. Now, this whole debacle and this whole controversy and story began when the letters started arriving in 1976, and initially targeting a woman locally named Mary Gillespie. But soon the letter writer expanded their reach, threatening and accusing people right across the town. So Mary Gillespie was a local school bus driver. She was the very first to receive a letter. Here's what happened.
Mary Gillespie goes out to her mailbox. She receives a letter. She opens it. It's an anonymous letter, distinct handwriting, and it's telling her to end the affair with the superintendent of the school there, Gordon Massey.
Mrs. Gillespie, stay away from Massey. I've been observing your house, and I know you have children.
It's your daughter's turn to pay for what you've done. I shall come out there and put a bullet in that little girl's head.
Good God.
Now, and just to clarify, she was indeed having an affair at the time.
Oh, was she?
So
okay.
the details of it were correct, but as far as Mary Gillespie knew, nobody knew about the affair. But obviously with this letter being sent to her, she knew that wasn't the case. So this letter was also packed with personal details, suggesting that the writer knew very intimate facts about Mary's life. Not only Mary was receiving these letters, soon her husband Ron also started to receive letters. And those letters were very fixated on urging him to put an end to Mary's supposed affair. Here's what Ron's letter said.
Mr. Gillespie, your wife is seeing Gordon Massey. You should catch them together and kill them both. He doesn't deserve to live.
Good God. Did they go to the police?
Well, at first they decided not to, because they thought they might try and handle the matter privately. They brushed it off as a bit of a prank. Now, initially, when the letter came, Ron didn't know about the affair. And Mary continued to lie about it because she didn't want to tell Ron, or she didn't want him to know. So that's why she was able to pass it off as a prank and tell her husband that, well, this is not happening. It's all lies.
Yeah.
It's just somebody targeting us. But eventually she knew she had to come clean because the letters kept coming. So they couldn't stay quiet about it then much longer. And then the letters actually started to appear right across town. So they would be posted to notice boards around the town, in the church, in supermarkets, even on telegram poles as well. Also, there were very aggressive threats that started showing up, and very specific threats. Not only that, but remember, Mary was a school bus driver. So as this whole thing started to escalate, signs would start to appear along Mary's bus route in the morning. Now, they would be very small, like, you know, there wouldn't be much on the signs, basically saying Mary's having an affair. calling Mary a number of names. It got so bad that Ron would even drive around early in the morning to take them down. So she could pass about 7 or 8 signs on her route every morning.
It gets even more strange, though.
It does, because after over a year of receiving these letters, in August of 1977, Ron got a phone call at the home one evening that really shook him. And according to his children, after he hung up from this phone call, he got a gun and left the house, claiming that he was heading out to confront the letter writer and that he finally knew who the writer was. But shortly after he left, Ron was found dead in his car, which had just crashed into a tree close to his home. Now, the cause of death was ultimately ruled an accident, but family members and other people in the locality of Circleville weren't convinced. Now, Ron's brother-in-law said there were some very strange aspects to the crash. Here's him talking.
Although a number of people told me that he was not a heavy drinker, he had almost twice the legal limit of alcohol in his blood. The gun had been fired once, so then the question was he shooting at the letter writer? The sheriff didn't give that any credence at all. This person was, at that point, pretty unbound, not afraid to say anything, and it scared a lot of people.
So did that put an end to everything?
Unfortunately not. Ron's death did not bring an end to the letters. They continue to arrive, and they continue to arrive to even more people, pointing fingers and causing suspicion among residents. Because whoever was writing these letters seemed to know very intimate details about almost everybody in the town and was exposing them through these letters. So naturally, everyone in the town is very suspicious of each other then, and it causes great unrest. Now, what's interesting is what happened then in 1983, because the Circleville letter writer shifted focus that year, and Mary Gillespie became the target of a more direct attack. Now, Mary, when driving her bus route, she saw one of these signs once again along the road, accusing her daughter this time of being involved in a scandal. So at this stage, Mary had had enough of these signs on her bus route every morning. She pulled the bus over, went over to tear it down. But just as she was doing that, she noticed a bit of twine kind of going from the sign to a box that was kind of in a hedge. She opened the box, and inside was a loaded gun that was rigged to fire when the sign was pulled. Now, thankfully, this trap malfunctioned, sparing Mary from physical harm. But had it not failed, Mary would have been shot and killed that morning. Now, police began to investigate further, and that investigation led them to Mary's brother-in-law, who was a man called Paul Freshour. Now, Paul's relationship with his wife was very tense at that time, and some believe that he was writing the letters as a way to get back at her and her family. Now, Paul denied all involvement, but eventually he was arrested. And that was after police were able to link him to the gun that was used in the incident of the trap that malfunctioned. Now, after a trial, he was sentenced to 7 to 25 years in prison for attempted murder in 1983. But there are a lot of people, including family members and Paul's lawyer, who believe that this was an absolute miscarriage of justice.
It's just preposterous. There's no way.
He wasn't dumb enough to put his own gun in a booby trap. And anybody could have gotten that gun.
Can I tell you, I'm not 100% sure that he didn't do it? No, I can't. But I can tell you, had I been sitting on that jury, I would have never sent a guy to prison based on that flimsy evidence.
Please tell me the letters stopped.
The letters did not stop. So even with Paul behind bars and everyone claiming that they'd now found the letter writer, it was Paul Freshour, he was in prison, that's the end of it. But when Paul was in prison, people in Circleville still continue to receive chilling letters, including one that Paul actually himself received while he was in prison. Now, there's no question about this being a copycat or somebody else, because the handwriting was identical in all the letters from before and after, and that was something that was also investigated, because there were some theories that maybe this was a copycat, that the initial letter writer had stopped for whatever reason and somebody else was continuing this. That doesn't seem to be the case. Now, in order to be certain that Paul wasn't the author, the prison even launched an investigation confirming that there is no way he could have been sending those letters. And they went to really great lengths to monitor him while he was serving his sentence. This is what they did.
They did not allow him to have pens or paper.
He was strip searched. All his incoming and outgoing mail was inspected. There is absolutely, positively no way Paul Freshour was writing those letters and smuggling them out from prison. No way.
The letter writer bragged about setting him up. He said, when we set him up good.
So, if it wasn't Paul, who was it?
Well, there is a lot of speculation about who it could be, and a lot of the speculation seems to surround Paul's ex-wife, and this would be Mary Gillespie's sister as well, Sue. Now, Sue would be the only person who had something to gain from Paul being pinned for the murder, because at that time they were going through a very acrimonious and messy divorce. She also claimed at one stage that she found draft letters that were written by her ex-husband, but she says she threw them away. Now, also remember, she would have had access to the gun that was used in the trap because they were living together at the time. And she also may have had intimate knowledge of her sister's love life. So she probably would have known about this affair that was mentioned and started off the whole letter writing debacle. Now, there was also speculation, interestingly enough, that it could be their son, Mark, so the son of Paul and Sue, and that Paul actually took the blame in an effort to save his son. Now, what adds a bit of credence to this is that in 2002, Mark sadly killed himself. And some believe the reason for it was the guilt that he bore for years for the death of his uncle Ron in that car crash initially, and then for his father going to jail. Now, Paul Freshour himself, he was released from prison, continued to maintain his innocence until his death in 2012. Interestingly, the letters themselves stopped in 1994. But the case of the Circleville letters, it remains one of Ohio's most perplexing mysteries. Now, this is because of the amount of detail, of course, that the writer knew, that only those very closely involved could know, from relationships to very secret family matters. And this wasn't just confined to just the Gillespie and the Freshour family. These were families from right across Circleville. So there seemed to be one person who knew everybody's secrets. So this mystery didn't just captivate Ohioans. It was also featured on a number of crime shows as well. Unsolved Mysteries being the big one. Also 48 Hours, which is a very popular true crime investigation program on CBS in the US. 48 Hours, and Erin Moriarty would be one of their more famous reporters. Yeah. She followed this case for about 20 years, and there's still no real answer to it or solid lead to it. Now, during the 48 Hours investigation, an independent analysis of the letters was done by a forensic document expert, a lady by the name of Beverly East. And she studied some of the anonymous letters along with handwriting from some of the suspects. And what she pointed out was this very unique letter G. And it convinced her that she knows exactly who is responsible. Here she is.
I would go into court and swear on the Bible on the evidence that I found.
And when you say you'd swear on the Bible, what would you say?
I would say one person wrote all of these, and the one person is this person.
Paul Freshour.
Paul Freshour.
Wow.
Paul Freshour.
Because I was going to ask you about that, why the handwriting wasn't analysed very earlier on in the
Well, it would have been, but I think with handwriting techniques as well, it kind of evolves over time.
Okay.
And some of it is subject to opinion.
Yes, okay.
You know,
it's
I know
not a definite science.
There is a kind of science to it, but opinions will differ.
Okay,
and that's the problem with it.
She was very certain anyway.
She would have a very good background and very good reputation in that. But it still doesn't answer the question of who was writing it when he was in prison, because there's no way he could have been writing them in prison.
Right, and that's pivotal, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Circleville, then. What's the story with the area?
Well, it's moved on from those very unsettling years, but there's no doubt that the legacy of the letter writer lingers, and it's one of those small town stories that feels kind of ripped straight from a true crime novel. To this day, the identity of the Circleville letter writer remains unconfirmed by law enforcement, even though Paul Freshour was jailed in connection with it, but not directly to do with the letters. It's more to do with he had the gun that was used to try and hurt Mary initially, Mary Gillespie. But never was he officially charged with anything to do with the letters. So there's still plenty of room for speculation.
It's fascinating. I was asking you downstairs when you were talking to me about this, did this inspire the Netflix movie Wicked Little Letters that I saw, which is a marvellous movie. Jessie Buckley is in it, yeah.
Olivia Colman is in it as well.
It's fantastic. I mean, really, really is. It's set in Britain in the 1920s, I think. It's a marvellous movie.
Is that based off a true story?
I'm not sure was it inspired even by this story? And so, even though it's set in a very different time period, but it's a marvellous movie and really worth watching, you know.
What's interesting as well with the Circleville Letters case is this is one that's been really taken on by the internet sleuths as well. And you know, with them, they'll kind of dissect everything and analyse everything. They might find a bit of new information that we hadn't known before, and they'll all come together. And generally, they tend to agree on a verdict at the end. But Circleville is very different because it divides everybody and everyone has different theories as to who it could be. So that's what makes the Circleville Letters one very, very interesting.
The online investigators, they normally come up with the theory, though, that somebody from outer space...
Yeah, it was aliens, right? Or the government. It was the government
was involved
trying to divide the people.
In some way, yeah. What I can't understand, though, the heat, whoever this person that wrote these letters, the heat must have been coming on over the years as well. So you'd wonder why they didn't just back off.
But the fact that they expanded it to take in the whole town meant they really had an axe to grind. So maybe they were enjoying it because, you know, they saw the reaction it was getting from Mary and Ron. Even the death of poor Ron didn't stop them from writing letters. So that would indicate some kind of psychopathy, that they were really enjoying the reaction that it was having and expanded it even more then.
Yeah, I wonder, is it an actual condition? Because some people love to do this kind of thing.
It must be some kind of Munchausen's, isn't it? But you're not directly getting the credit for it. It's very much in the background.
Right, but you are controlling it from a distance.
Yeah, it's like a puppet master Munchausen's almost. It's very strange.
Kind of fascinating, isn't it, indeed? But it just goes to show you how one nutcase can cause chaos.
Absolute chaos and divide a whole town, because the town would still be very much divided over what happened.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sad aspects to it, but particularly the son taking his own life.
Yeah.
And why that would have been the case.
Exactly. I mean, it could have been... His parents had a very messy divorce. They didn't have a great relationship as well. So growing up in a household like that probably didn't help him. But also the sadness of... He probably had absolutely nothing to do with it, but he'll always be marked with it now, that he killed himself because he'd something to do with it, or he knew what had happened. That will always mark him, and he'll never be able to defend himself now anymore.
Incredible, yeah. What other conspiracies have you for us over the coming months?
You know what? I started looking into one a month ago. I said this would be an easy one to do, and it's not easy at all. It's the Book of Enoch. Have you heard of it?
No, I don't think so.
The Book of Enoch was originally part of the Bible, but was taken out of the Bible.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And what it is, it's talking about how angels and demons control the world, essentially, and there's aliens in there as well, and it's very complicated. And it's all about the Nephilim and the giants that came down to earth and breeded with human women, and that's where we all came from. Wow. And it was actually found with the Dead Sea Scrolls, so it is actually a real thing. And the conspiracy and the questions around it are why it was taken out of the Bible, and why weren't we allowed to know what was in it.
It's incredible. And do we have the text?
We have the text, but it kind of gets lost a little bit in translation. A small bit, and it's
the whole
very
mythology thing,
yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
So I thought it'd be an easy one to do, but a month later I'm still digging into it. So that'll be coming soon.
So we have that to look forward to in the new year.
And I don't want to ruin Christmas by doing the Book of Enoch, talking about Nephilim.
Yeah, we have to be careful of these things.
We're keeping it light, maybe.
All right, pleasure as always,
Thanks,
Ellie. Thanks very much indeed for that. That's our conspiracy files for this week or this month. That's it for me. Leanne produced, Ali looks after our content. Stephen has the Time Tunnel on the Lunchtime Show, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.